let us start, my dear friends, with the subject of indirect taxes. Whenever we say indirect taxes, people used to get, what do you mean by direct taxes? Generally, we have direct taxes one side. Apart from that, indirect taxes another side. If you want to know what is my indirect taxes, we should know something. What do you mean by direct taxes? If you know what you mean by direct taxes, I will say exactly opposite to your direct taxes is my indirect taxes. Name itself what? Indirect taxes. If you say yes, wantedly I will say no, because my name is indirect taxes for a kind consideration. I am not going to match with any direct tax provisions. Then what do you mean by direct tax before knowing the indirect taxes? I presented in front of you on the screen. Just look and understand, my dear. Direct taxes versus indirect taxes. How to understand this? As simple as this. When you say direct taxes, here I mentioned for a kind consideration, point number 1, by saying that payer of the tax and sufferer of the tax both are one and same. That means impact and incidence of the tax on the same person, on the same head. Assume a scenario, you qualified as a chartered accountant, appointed as a finance manager in a multinational company. There you are earning salary 2 lakh rupees per month. For example, I am telling you, if 2 lakh rupees per month in a year, 24 lakh rupees, you are the earner of salary, you earn the income, pay the tax. From your pocket, you only pay the tax. Your employer not going to pay income tax. Mr. Employee, you only pay. You being an employee, earn the salary, pay from your pocket. Here what happened? The incidence of tax, impact of tax, both on you only. You being an earner of salary, you are going to pay the tax on your income. So impact of the tax, incidence of the tax on the same head. Got the clarity? It's called direct taxes. Then what do you mean by indirect taxes? Entirely different. I am not going to match with your direct taxes. What do you mean by then indirect taxes? Look on the screen. Point number 1 I said under the head, indirect taxes, payer of tax, not sufferer of the tax. Whereas sufferer of the tax not going to pay the tax. Impact on one head, incidence goes to another head, is called as indirect taxes. How to understand this? A simple example, my dear, on the screen. Look on the screen. Look here. Mr. Muhammad Rafi Academy, providing commercial training and coaching services. You people, my beloved students, are the recipients of services. Now here, who is suffering the tax? You people, being the students, recipients, suffer the tax. Who liable to pay to department? Rafi Academy is liable to pay GST to the department because supplier of service. Now here, many of them used to get the doubt, sir, I am paying the tax. No, sir. Sorry, Mr. Student, you are not paying the tax. You are suffering the tax. That means liability to pay the GST for commercial training and coaching services provided by the Rafi Academy is Rafi only liable to pay, Rafi Academy only liable to pay, not by the student to the department. Rafi Academy cannot say to department, sir, I have not collected the GST from our student, therefore I am not going to pay the GST to you. Can I say? Not possible. I am bound to pay the GST because liability to pay GST costed on my head. So I am the payer of the tax. I am going to pay from my pocket? Sorry, no. I am going to collect from your pocket, my dear. I am collecting the fees from you. From that, the portion of GST, I am paying department. So who suffered the tax? You people, end user, suffered the tax. Who paid the tax? Rafi Academy paid the tax. So the person who paid the tax, not suffering the tax, the person who suffered the tax, not directly paying to department. Got the clarity, my dear sir? So the payer of the tax, different from sufferer of the tax. Impact on one head, incidence on the other head is known as indirect taxes. When you say direct taxes, impact, incidence on both, on the same head. Where I am saying impact and incidence not on the same head. Impact on one head, incidence goes to another head. Is called what? Indirect taxes. I am not going to match with you. My name is what? Indirect taxes. Got the clarity, my dear sir? So, under the direct taxes, impact and incidence on the same person. Whereas, under indirect taxes, impact on one head, incidence goes to another head, is known as indirect taxes. Further, what do you mean by direct taxes? Look on the screen, point number 2. Under the direct taxes, income based tax. Income based tax. If you have income, pay the income tax. No income, no tax. There is no tax on expenditure under the income tax. There is no tax on the loss under the income tax. Income based tax is your direct tax. Correct? When you ask me, my dear, I will say that it is supply based tax, transaction based tax. See, supply, why I use the word here means under the GST law, we are now with supply of goods, supply of services, supply of both, liable to pay GST if it is a taxable supply. Income is immaterial. What is my gross supply? Liable for GST. Like that, if I import goods, imported, pay the custom duty. Sir, I imported for the purpose of distributing free of cost to below poverty line people, sir. So what? Pay the custom duty, because there is no specific exemption for your import. You have to pay the custom duty since you import the goods. Transaction taken place. Transaction based tax is called what? The indirect taxes. How to understand? Simple illustration on the screen. Now look here, my dear sir. X and company, let us say trader. In the financial year 2021, assume a scenario, gross sale rupees, let us say 20 lakhs, less expenditure, let us say 15 lakhs. The balance is net income. Net income 5 lakh rupees. Got the clarity? Other way around, if you refer, in the subsequent year 2021-22, for example, your gross sales 50 lakhs, expenditure, let us say 60 lakhs, your net income is negative, income here is nil, but net loss is equal to almost all 10 lakh rupees. Now you tell me, In such case, are you liable to pay income tax? No. So, income based tax is what? Income tax known as your direct taxes. Whereas, in our case, indirect taxes, transaction based tax, supply based tax. How to understand? Look on the screen, please. Look on the screen, my dear sir. Shopkeeper selling various wearing apparels. One customer came, approached shopkeeper. Hey, mister, I want a nice, colorful dress. He supplied. He sold. Then liable to pay GST. Shopkeeper says, sir, the dress what I was purchased earlier is for rupees 5,000. I sold at rupees 4,000. Loss is 1,000 rupees, sir. So what? Immaterial. Mr. Shopkeeper, have you supplied? Supplied, sir. New dress I supplied to customer, sir. What value supplied? For rupees 4,000, sir. Pay the GST on that. Transaction taken place, supply taken place, liable to pay GST. That's it. Question of loss, profit, immaterial is called what? Indirect taxes, where we have GST concept. Got the clarity, my dear sir? Transaction based tax is indirect taxes, whereas your direct taxes is income based tax. Got the clarity? Furthermore, what do you mean by direct taxes? Explaining here as follows. Furthermore, referring to you here, direct taxes. Look on the screen. Under direct taxes, point number 3. Rate of taxes are different from person to person is direct taxes. Obviously, you are aware of that, no, my dear? NRI, one rate of tax. Resident, different rate of tax. For a senior citizen, at another rate of tax. So, person to person, rate of tax different. For a corporate company, rate of tax different from an individual. Got the clarity? It is what? Direct taxes. Rate of taxes different from person to person. Whereas, in the case of indirect taxes, it is not so, my dear. You may be big giant in corporate sector. Whatever rate of tax you liable to pay, same rate of tax, individual also will liable to pay under the indirect taxes, because under the indirect taxes, rate of duties or taxes are not going to different from person to person. Yes. How? Look on the screen. Just look on the screen, you understand this. Look, my dear friend. Corporate giant under the software industry, Tata Consultancy Services, TCS, provider of information technology and software services. If so, are they liable to pay GST or not? What rate of GST they are liable to pay? 18% rate of GST. CGST 9%, HGST 9%, together 18%. 9%, 9%. CGST, HGST, together 18% they are liable to pay. Now, look to me. Rafi Academy. A registered person under GST, my dear. Rafi Academy is paying the regularly GST by providing commercial training and coaching services. There is one man show. A ordinary, very, very micro level organization. Look here, providing commercial training and coaching services. Rafi Academy also providing commercial training and coaching services, for which we also liable to pay same rate of tax, 18%. There is no difference between person to person with regard to rate of taxes is considered under the GST law. Whereas Under the direct taxes law, rate of taxes are different from person to person, whereas in indirect taxes, it is not so. Got the clarity, sir? Rate of taxes are different under indirect taxes, product based, service based, but not person based. Got the clarity, my dear? Furthermore, what do you mean by direct taxes? Is as follows. Under direct taxes, entire revenue goes to central government of India. Entire revenue goes to government of India only. Whereas, under the indirect taxes, the revenue source to central government as well as state governments. Whereas the state government, which includes union territories also. Got the clarity? How to understand this? Look on the screen. Look on the screen. GST, revenue sharing between the central and state. 50% goes to central GST revenue, 50% goes to states. States includes union territories. No doubt, my dear. If you ask me, sir, what about customs duty? Entire customs duty is a revenue source to the government of India, because the act enacted by the government of India by passing in the parliament in the year 1962. Therefore, Customs Act 1962 revenue goes entire revenue to government of India. Whereas GST revenues are considered, which is element of indirect taxes, sharing between central as well as state equally. Yes, it is one of the fundamental concept, my dear. The sharing cannot be disproportionate. Equally, 50% goes to central, 50 goes to states. Got the clarity? State includes union territories. Further, look on the screen. Balance 50% goes to state government. 50 to central, 50 to states. Got the clarity, my dear? Further, what do you mean by direct taxes? Furthermore, because we should know first and foremost, before knowing the subject, what is my indirect taxes? If I want to know, I have to compare with the direct tax first. Thereby, I can come to know what is my indirect taxes. Then that is fruitful to understand subject of indirect taxes, which consist of GST, customs, and foreign trade policy. Got the clarity? That's why I'm first differentiating how my indirect taxes different from your direct taxes. Got the clarity, my dear? If you refer under direct taxes, I mentioned here, under the direct taxes, there is a previous year income which is assessed under the direct taxes in the assessment year. In the assessment year. Previous year income assessed in the assessment year, except the few exceptional cases, leaving India permanently, shutting down the business permanently. The entire few exceptionals are there. Keeping aside exceptionals, in general, income tax is previous year assessment year concept. Previous year income assessed in the assessment year. Whereas under the indirect taxes, there is no concept of previous year and assessment year. Even for information, previous year under the indirect taxes, we are calling, what do you know, my dear? We are calling as preceding financial year. Repeating, please. You also repeat along with me, my dear. Previous year under the indirect taxes, we called what? Preceding financial year. For the current year, financial year. There is no assessment year under indirect taxes. We have the term assessment. Assessment is different from assessment year. Got the clarity? So, If you have previous year assessment year under direct taxes, we won't have previous year and assessment year concept under indirect taxes. Got the clarity? Further, what do you mean by direct taxes? Further, referring to here, point number 6, referring to you now. Direct taxes, which are basically progressive nature. Direct taxes which are progressive nature, whereas indirect taxes are regressive nature. Got the clarity, sir? Regressive nature. What do you mean by progressive nature? What do you mean by regressive nature? Let us understand with help of diagrammatic presentation. I said your direct taxes, progressive nature. My indirect taxes, regressive nature. How to understand? Is as simple as this. Look on the screen, my dear, for a kind consideration. Here, direct taxes, progressive nature. How? Look here on the screen carefully. Rate of income tax when 10%, net income is 1 lakh, rate of income tax 10%. Assume a scenario. Income to the government is 10,000. When the rate of tax goes up 20%, income tax rate, net income remains 1 lakh, but revenue to government is 20,000. When tomorrow the rate of income tax goes up to 30%, income remains same 1 lakh, but government income as income tax goes up further. It is 30,000. Meaning what? Meaning here, look on the screen. Rate of tax increases, then revenue to government also increases, as known as progressive nature. Got the clarity? Any difficulty on the screen, please? Look on the screen. Any difficulty, my dear? For a kind consideration. Further, come back to further study. When you say indirect taxes, I replied regressive nature. Rate of taxes goes up and up. Revenue to department, government decreases. How? Look on the screen, please. Here, rate of GST, say 10%. Sales 1 lakh. GST to department, government 10,000. Further, GST goes up to 20%. What happened? No, sir. The rate of GST from 10% to 20%, the person who willing to buy that product or that particular service, affordability reduces. As simple as that, my dear. Earlier, when there was service tax law, we used to pay GST, that time income service tax under indirect taxes, we used to pay service tax 12%. That time, myself and my entire family, we used to go weekly once to hotel. Because the rate of service tax very small, 12% only. Thereafter what happened? At the time of introduction of the GST from 1st July 2017, it is 18%. It was 18%. Then we used to go monthly once to hotel. That means what? A person who wanted to afford that service become less and less because the tax goes up and up. resulting that what happened on the screen, my sales fallen down to 40,000. When the rate of GST gone up from 10% to 20%, for example, then the sales also fallen down because price increases because of the GST, then demand decreases. With that concept, this particular sales fallen down to 40,000. Revenue to government only rupees 8,000. And furthermore, the government increases rate of GST from 20 to 30%. What is going to happen, Furthermore, sales fallen down to below level to 20,000. Assume, if that is the case, what happened? The revenue to government goes to only 6,000. So, 10,000 revenue became 8,000, further became 6,000. Reason? Rate of tax goes up and up and up. Revenue to department going to be reduced and reduced. It is known as regressive nature. Meaning thereby, look on the screen and read. Rate of tax. Here, rate of tax increases. Rate of tax increases, then revenue to department, to the government decreases, known as regressive nature. Got the clarity, my dear? Any difficulty in the given case? For your kind consideration. So further come back. Referring furthermore, what do you mean by direct taxes? Simple. Look here. Further, my dear sir, direct taxes supervised by CBDT, Central Board of Direct Taxes, whereas our indirect taxes supervised by CBIC, Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. CBIC, Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. Look here. Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, which comes under Department of Revenue, Ministry of Finance, Government of India. CBIC supervising entire GST as well as the customs. No doubt, CBIC should function under the roof of GST Council, which is supremo under GST. CBIC from time to time issue the circulars supervising, monitoring effective implementation of the GST in India, as well as CBIC is supervising the Customs Act 1962 also. Got the clarity, my dear sir? Whereas direct taxes supervised by CBDT, Central Board of Direct Taxes. So, my dear sir, if anybody asks me, what is your indirect taxes? I will humbly say that my indirect taxes are as follows. All these points, what I referred indirect taxes, putting in a chronological order. Indirect taxes, where impact of tax on one head, incidence of the tax on the other head. Indirect taxes, where it is transaction based tax, supply based tax. Indirect taxes, where we have uniform tax structure for all the persons. From person to person, rate of tax not going to be differ. Under indirect taxes, rate of taxes are different from product to product or from service to service, but not based on the person. Indirect taxes, in which there is no previous year and assessment year. Entire revenue of indirect taxes shared between central and states. States includes union territories. Indirect taxes, there is no previous year and assessment year concept. Under the indirect taxes, the rate of taxes goes up and up. Revenue to the government also decreases, known as regressive nature. Indirect taxes, supervised by the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, known as CBIC. It is what my introduction to the topic called indirect taxes. Got the clarity, my dear?